I already know this feeling.
Mhm.
It's not first time I'm feeling my body is reacting like that. So I have to go more and more to the past.
And suddenly after this, I felt stomach pains and like, what? I started to have lactose intolerance or
Gluten.
gluten, or maybe I should take these pills that will help me with this.
I am responsible for my life, that everything needs to be perfect. I cannot disappoint other people.
Because all of this tension in the body gets crazy and the brain needs to handle all of this, so is okay, so interpret it as a migraine.
Most of the time we are living in illusion. If we are developing this survival strategy, we are creating some kind of illusion, some scenario that we want to believe in, and we are not actually living in reality.
And sometimes, like, we had a fight, and the next day I'm stressed. The next day I'm already not stressed, but the next day I have these pains, and I'm like, okay, this is because of this. Like, I started to connect the dots. This is because of this stress.
If you feel anger, if you feel some emotion, you need to let yourself to feel this emotion, to be this emotion, to not to say, oh no, this is not. I'm not angry. I'm not angry.
Find the root source and fix your problem, because otherwise you're just it's like a snowball.
Hello everyone.
Hey,
Welcome to our podcast, Balagan.
and today we are going to touch something a bit balagan, right? That something that we touched last episode about health and how it's all connected to mind, heart, and body, and everything that is like how it's related to each other, and you think that you have a health problem, but actually it's coming from your mind. Actually, you had something like that, right? That you said the last episode.
Not only one thing. Like I'm living in this world already more than 30 years, and
Still young.
still young, not free. Yes, but there were lots of issues that and symptoms that my body was trying to tell me something, and I was ignoring this for many years.
Mm-hmm.
Until, as I mentioned in the last episode, I felt so bad. I was having this stomach pains. I don't know, for so long. I couldn't live normally. So the doctor that another doctor that I decided to consult, actually not even consult, I just said whatever, let's do ultrasound. What I have to lose. Another check. So so I shared with him, like I have the gastro, and people around me tell me, listen, this is the IBS problem, this is SIBO. By the way, I did check this also, the SIBO, and I got kind of diagnosed, and so basically I came to him with bunch of problems. He told me that this IBS, SIBO, and another symptoms you are telling me right now about, everything is in your head.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, okay, this no one told me before. So maybe let's dive deeper into this.
Yeah.
And I started discovering, okay, my past. So since when was the first time I started feeling this problem? And it wasn't in Israel. In Israel, it was continuation. It was basically when I was a little child already. Like I was living with this pain. It's not like, obviously, it's not like constant pain every day for 30 years. I have pain. Or no. It depends on specific situations, but it's all connected to my past, because in the past, as I also mentioned in the previous episode, I developed some kind of survival strategy to feel safe in this world. And I did it as a child, so in the most like in the way that a child could do. So it was all because of so much pressure that I was putting on myself, too much pressure, overthinking, this perfectionism that I was dealing with. Basically, stomach issues are about digesting life, right?
Mhm.
Like digesting relationship, emotions, different situations. So I started asking myself what I cannot digest, where I feel I'm not safe, what I keep inside that I don't want to tell to others. Because basically, all of this was connected to also my past, that the survival strategy that I developed was also connected to my childhood, that I decided, okay, I need to be responsible. I need to be strong, Natalka. I need to take all the problems in the world on my shoulders. And even if I feel bad, I cannot bother other people. So I need to accumulate everything inside myself. So basically, I was taking way too much, and it was growing and growing like a balloon inside me.
Even as a child, which is
Even
even
as a child.
harder.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you can imagine, I was accumulating all of these bad emotions inside, because all the time I was saying to myself, I need to be strong, I need to be strong, I will survive, everything. So basically, all those unexpressed emotions I was accumulating inside. And this, I will not share my problems because, I cannot bother other people, because
Yes.
as a
They
child,
have bigger problems
Exactly.
as adults or as other people, and maybe they are like, who am I to bother them with my problems when they have other problems, right?
Yes, and as a child also, because even right now we are parents and we see that
Yeah.
child like basically take all the emotions, positive but also negative. They feel basically what parents feel, all the emotions, all the tensions that are inside the house, and they are taking those emotions. And I was taking also, and I've developed this strategy that okay, I am responsible for my life, that everything needs to be perfect, I cannot disappoint other people, and also I'm taking other people problems, because I feel I'm responsible for this, and I will not let go. I'm all the time, I put my body in constant stress, like constant, like mode that, okay, you need to be careful because something can happen, something can happen, something can happen. You need to be, be sure that you have everything under the control.
Yes, it's like a flight or fight mode all the time. To be prepared, which is like something that our ancestors had this, where it was good if there is some tiger going around your camp or something like this. But now we are living in the world of that we don't have those stressful moments, so we are sometimes even looking for those stress. Or if you don't have those, like you all the time is like in your mode, and then your body is like stress, and it's taking care only of the stress and forgetting the other stuff that you need to take care of, right?
Correct, because our brain doesn't know that there is such a thing like past, present, and future tense. He thinks
everything is now,
like,
right?
yes. So even though I had this situation 30 years ago, 20 years ago, and I developed somehow like this kind of reaction, the reaction that I was able to develop as a child. So he's thinking still the same. Okay, so this is the situation, this is the trigger. Okay, so we are reacting like this.
We are returning to the same scenario that happened 30 years ago, and then we need to react exactly the same.
Because at the beginning I thought that okay, so something bothered me at work, someone, I don't know, I felt stressed at work, so I'm digging inside this. No, but I actually understood, I already know this feeling. It's not first time I'm feeling my body is reacting like that. So I have to go more and more to the past. And to the first time I felt like, okay, this is because this is the thing. Situation can change. Work, children, relationship with partners. Triggers are different, but basically there is one like common ground, right? Like doesn't matter what the situation, but the reaction is the same. And what actually helped me to, because it wasn't easy process. It wasn't like, oh, I know what happened. here I am, new Natalia, no pain. Of course not. It took a lot of time because first of all, what you need to do, you need to stay, put yourself in the truth. Like tell yourself the truth that, listen, I'm aware, I admit that this and this happened. And this is the first step. And this is actually very hard because most of the time we are living in illusion. If we are developing this survival strategy, we are creating some kind of illusion, some scenario that we want to believe in, and we are not actually living in reality. And we are starting believing that this illusion is reality, which is actually not. There's not authentic version of Natalia. So letting yourself tell yourself the truth is very hard.
Yes, you sometimes want to avoid this. You don't want to hear exactly this, right? You don't want to hear yourself if you're like bad in something, or it's this thing affect you and you don't want this to affect you, right?
Also, like most of the time I was denying what I was feeling. I said, okay, I have this stomach pain.
Or take
I'm
a pill,
taking pills.
that's it.
That's it. For sure, it's I don't know, weather, whatever. I'm taking pill. Everything good. No, this is also the problem. If you feel anger, if you feel some emotion, you need to let yourself to feel this emotion, to be this emotion, to not to say, oh no, this is not, I'm not angry, because this is what happened to me. I couldn't be angry. I was this good girl. I cannot be angry. I cannot cry. I cannot shout at people if something bothers me. I need to be okay, everything okay. And all this inside my stomach. It's very hard to finally feel this emotion, right?
Yeah, it happened to me also something similar. In the past, I was dating this girl, and all the time I was afraid. I felt like somehow that I'm not worthy for her, like she was too look good or something like this. Not as good as you, but look good. And
wait, eye rolling.
and I was like all the time stressed that okay, now she's going to break up with me. She will understand that like this symptom, this syndrome of like imposter syndrome, that I'm not good enough, and she will run away from me. So all the time, like try to keep the fire alive by talking to her, talks to her, and if she's not responding immediately or not responding after a few minutes or something like this, and I see she's available, seen on WhatsApp or Messenger or something, so something is wrong. Why she's not responding? Maybe she's talking to someone else. Maybe she got lost interest. And I was feeling all this tension, all this stress. And suddenly I started to have also kind of stomach pains. Like every Friday we were eating the pasta and I was eating like pasta with a mountain of Parmesan on top. And suddenly after this I felt stomach pains, and like what? I started to have lactose intolerance, or gluten, or maybe I should take these pills that will help me with this, or suddenly I was stop. I was after going out. I was having those things for days, going to bathrooms or stuff like this, and then like, and then when after she broke up with me in the end, because this is a bad behavior of how to be stressed about such a thing, that instead of being confident in your zone, it's basically you build the road that she will use to break up with you. So after some time that I got over this, it stopped. So it was like, it was, what is this? Was something like temporary, and then later on in life when we met, and we try to impress each other in our relationship, or be there for our daughter, and it's like we are first time parents. We don't know what we are doing half of the time, and we are fighting about it, or we want to please each other, and then suddenly it's returned again. It's like, what's going on? We're going to doctors. You're going to gastro. You have maybe this infection. You need to have these pills and maybe those pills. Try them. And every time that I was calm, it's gone away. Like even like, and sometimes like we had a fight. the next day I'm stressed, the next day I'm already not stressed, but the next day I have these pains, and like, okay, this is because of this. Like I started to connect the dots that this is because of this stress, and if I will become more relaxed, and it will also I will have less of those things.
Exactly, because to clarify something, we are not against conventional medicine that
Of course,
doctors,
it
whatever.
needs to be combined, right? With those stuff.
We are also having some medicine at home, and if it's
It's
really
Polish. We have at least one closet of only medicine.
yes, exactly. So we do, especially if there is a serious problem of or we do go to
doctors, yeah.
doctor to first of all to get the diagnose what's going on. This is very important. So it's not like we are against this, but what happened to me in the past and also to you, like I was taking all the pills
Yes,
in the world.
all the diagnoses.
In Israel, I was taking some pills. In Poland, in London, I was living in like everywhere. Someone was giving me different pills or different medicine. But basically, nothing was helping me. Like it was helping like a painkiller, right? For a few hours,
it's
that's it.
It's helping with the symptom, but if you don't, the symptom goes away, but it will not help with the problem itself.
Exactly.
It's like when I have.
Doesn't solve the solution of the problem, the source of the problem. Because okay, you are just putting another layer, another plaster, but the wound is still right.
Or sometimes even worse, like for example, that I have migraines, which is also caused from other reasons similar to stress or things like this, and then you take those painkillers to avoid those migraines. There's headaches that I had, and those headaches could be even like, I don't know, I was not drinking water, or I was stressed, or I had a bad night, was not sleeping. So then I was okay, I'm just taking the pill, and then after 1 hour, 2 hours, I'm totally fine. But I didn't fix by this the problem, and by taking those pills, basically the stomach is like hurting because it needs to digest those pills on daily basis or something like this. So it's like it's affecting it in a different way. So it's like you need to, in the end, find the root source and fix your problem, because otherwise you are just it's like a snowball.
Maybe we can talk more about your migraines, like, because I didn't experience this before. I was more into stomach issues and thyroid, but let's say, because migraine in your case, maybe we can talk about it. Since you were a child, you were living under huge pressure to impress, right? Maybe you can tell
like I don't remember exactly when it started, but maybe it was high school or after, and then you just take or after high school, army and so on, and then that you try to impress people, that you try to, I don't know, okay, I will go to this party and stay until the morning to impress other people, although I'm super tired, or I will date all those girls all the time, and maybe someone and be stressful about it, and even if I don't want this girl, I waited for the feedback. Maybe she will want me, and then will be continuation. So all the time I was stressed about those things as well.
But it also didn't. What you told me, it started. You were a very little child. You already had this feeling to impress.
Impress, yes, impress all the time. What was like for me as a kid? Just the migraines themselves come later.
Yes, because migraine is already
when it's like too much for the brain to handle, right? Because in the beginning, okay, you just you failed to impress, so you started to cry as a kid or things like this, right? But then when you get older, you're not crying because you are a man. You need to not cry. You need to hold yourself. So if you fail to impressing, or you need to all this attention all the time because you want to impress, you want to be successful, and by other people's eyes, not by yours, and then you are like at work or things like this, and then because all of this tension in the body gets crazy, and the brain needs to handle all of this, so you is okay, so interpret it as a migraine, and then you get the migraines. Because in the past it was okay, I was bad grade, I will start to cry, or I will be ashamed or hide in my room. Like the body will express it in different ways. like crying or sweating or things like this. And now, when you are adult, you are pushing away those reactions, natural reactions. So the body is like push it in a different reactions, like migraine. And then all the time, okay, I will take a pill and it will pass. But what? I will take a pill every day. I will take a pill every weekend. This is I remember that I had this stress all the time or these migraines like every weekend when I was going to dance outside and it was like started, the party was started at 11 until 4 in the morning or something like this. And the next day automatically migraine. So I said, oh, and because of what? Because how I got this, or what I was doing there? Did I wanted to impress other girls by my dancing, or did I invite me to people, girls to dance, and all of them were rejecting me? And then I felt bad about that. So I was like, so all those feelings, and then in the end, the next day I had this migraine, and then a pill. It's like, what? I cannot have a migraine every weekend, so I just stopped going on weekends to these parties. To avoid the problem, to get these migraines, but also avoid the situation when there will be actions that will follow to this cause this migraine.
Yes, and also what I can see right now, because when we met, we were basically having this migraine almost every day.
Yeah.
Like I was feeling, wow, all the time we are taking pills for this migraine. And since you really started solving this conflict inside yourself, started going back, okay, what is the problem? Then I don't really see you taking pills anymore. Like
Yes,
I
have
feel
it
that
like once a very while, once a month.
and we know when what is the problem, right?
Yes, the main focus was to where it's come from, what happened to me, why I had this reaction, and because and understanding this, diagnosing it by myself, or maybe together with you, that I explained to you, because sometimes when you talk, it's easier. You get questions, feedback, and you open up, and by that, okay, now I'm more relaxed. Now I'm sure I will not have this again, or something like this.
Because it's also not that we'll not have this again. We will, because we will have all those triggers that will touch us in certain situations. But if we find this conflict inside ourselves, and we know where this comes from, next time when we have this trigger, we can already train our brain to react in a different way.
Yes.
This is what happened to me. It's not like I never have stomach problems anymore. Of course I do, but in the certain situation that I feel already some tension, that I'm able to say, okay, wait, I'm not little Natalka anymore. Right now, I don't need anymore this survival strategy to survive or to live. Now I'm adult and I can do differently.
Yes.
Or, right?
Also, for me, like maybe sometimes it doesn't work immediately. To stop, because you are in the action itself. So to stop and think, but maybe you have this reaction, but then very fast, like after a few minutes, 5 minutes or something like this, you started to breathe and think and analyze, and then wait, actually everything is fine. It wasn't that trigger as the brain interpreted it. It was something more simple, more. It's not the end of the world. It's everything is fine. We will just, I don't know, I will talk, I will do something, and it will solve the problem, and everything will be okay.
Yes, and it's even regarding other issues. Like recently, when I had sore throat, I started having this pain. Usually, what I was saying, okay, so now I will get sick, because usually I was getting first of all I was getting a very like hard sore throat. After that, nose, head. Okay, I'm sick. But since I started living according to this different approach, to the different healing process, that I believe that okay, there is this conventional medicine, but also I am responsible of my life and how I feel and so on. And I found, okay, what happened that I have this sore throat now? What? Because throat is regarding the conflict. What I didn't say, and I remember that we had the previous day we had some, I wouldn't say fight, but some miscommunication, and I didn't fully express what I wanted to say. I wanted to say, but I didn't. For
You block
some
yourself.
reasons, I blocked myself, and so the throat told inside instead of me.
Speak instead.
Yes, exactly. So basically, it's also how we are trying to right now living with our little baby. Like obviously we go with her to doctor, and if something happened, although she's not
Most
really
of the time fine.
well, yes, she don't get any. She's not sick. Sometimes people. Sometimes, yes, people told us she will go to kindergarten, she will go,
yes.
she's sick immediately. Well, she's not. Or like lots of, I got a lot of warnings, like you know, she will don't give her peanuts, don't give her egg because she will be allergic. Well, she eats everything, and she's not allergic to anything. But of course, we do consult with doctors and to get diagnosed, especially or some pills if there is need for that. But first of all, I'm trying to solve the conflict, because the baby is also the child showing our emotions and what we feel. So first, I'm trying to also solve this. What happened inside myself that I'm feeling this, and my baby is expressing her throat, her nose, lungs, right? Expressing this. And there is no magic. This is not something like we believe in something weird. I do believe that if the God created me in a certain way, the best original Natalia was created in the best possible way, healthy, then I can also heal myself, and the body can heal itself in a natural way. Of course, with help sometimes, right? That's why like we go for therapies to talk with people to help us to solve our problems. But as I say, taking pills sometimes is just like, you know, just ignoring the source of the problem.
Yes, it's basically you put a plaster, right?
Yes, and I was living with this plaster for all my life almost.
Yes,
on my belly.
Of course, like if there is something more serious, that let's say you have like really an infection, okay, so now it's like the body got out of control, and then you need these antibiotics to help you. Like
yes, sometimes let's say even if you are
we are not
very
saying
bad,
if don't take vaccines, we are not those people, right?
No, definitely not. It's also about this, that sometimes because if you have already those migraines, this headaches and so on, sometimes this is, or like you are chronically, I don't know, you didn't sleep well, so you do feel so bad. So of course you need something
to help
like supplement that will help you to, first of all, to go back to the track, right? Because in order to heal yourself, you need to think straight.
Yes,
right?
You cannot be in pain or in sickness and okay, I will try to heal myself. This is sometimes super hard because your body is screaming for help, and you calm down. It's like you need to be in some level that you can communicate with yourself and be focused, right?
Yes, we would like to also hear from you, because I already got some feedback from people that were listening to the previous episode, that they also have similar issues regarding good girl and different pains and sickness that they discovered. So I'd like to you can reach out to me if you would like to talk about it, because
or to me if you really want.
Yes, of course. Because sometimes sharing and talking
also
to someone
also helping. Yes,
exactly, sharing.
Sharing is super helpful.
This is what you said, like sharing, not accumulating everything inside yourself. And sometimes, this is what I say, sometimes it's good to share, even not with your wife or husband.
Yes, someone that is objective to you, and that really, like, you can like talk to someone that is like not judgmental, doesn't take it to his own side, and and it's like something very natural, and then it's very helping as well.
Yes,
because you can feel that you can remove the masks or not the mask, the walls a bit lower because it's someone else.
yes, it can be helpful. I experienced this also, and I already talked with few people that they give me this feedback that Natalia, after talking with you, I feel like relieved, like that I could finally express myself and to find different way of behavior or to how to react on certain situations. As I say, you can feel free to reach out to us. We'll be more than happy to discuss with you those issues. Bye bye.
Bye bye.